Most metal bands are lucky to have just one great album under their belt, but some have managed to pull off something even more extraordinary. A 3-album streak of 100% certified legendary bangers. These bands didn't just release good albums back to back to back, they unleashed a sonic tidal wave that redefined genres, shattered expectations, and left an indelible mark on the soul of metal. We asked you, the fans, to decide which bands achieved the most monumental 3-album runs in metal history. You voted, you debated, you raged against the machine, and the results are finally in. Get ready to bang your heads, crank up the volume, and dive into the top 5 3-album runs in metal history as decided by you, the metalheads who keep the faith alive. Coming in hot at number 5, it's the metal gods themselves. Iron Maiden. We're talking the unholy trinity of Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Powerslave. This, my friends, is when Maiden transformed from heavy metal hopefuls into the unstoppable force we know and worship today. Think back to 1982, Bruce Dickinson steps up to the mic, a new general leading the charge. Number of the Beast explodes onto the scene, a raucous blend of dark melodies and Dickinson's soaring vocals. The world had never heard anything quite like it, but they weren't done, not even close. Peace of Mind slams in a year later, a relentless assault of razor-sharp riffs and lyrics that dug deep into the dark heart of humanity. The Trooper, Flight of Icarus, Where the Wild Wind Blows, each track a metal masterpiece. And then came the knockout punch, Powerslave. An album so epic, so grand in its scope, it cemented Iron Maiden's place in the heavy metal pantheon. From the blistering opener Aces High to the sprawling 13-minute title track, Powerslave is a testament to Maiden's unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of metal. And let's not forget the mascot that became synonymous with heavy metal itself, Eddie. With each album cover, Eddie evolved, becoming more menacing, more iconic, a reflection of the band's own ascent to metal glory. Iron Maiden's 3-album run wasn't just about the music, it was about the attitude, the imagery, the sheer, unadulterated power of heavy metal. They didn't just conquer the charts, they conquered our souls. At number 4, we've got the undisputed kings of thrash, Slayer. These guys weren't interested in singing about rainbows and unicorns. Slayer dove headfirst into the abyss, dragging us along for a sonic beatdown of epic proportions. It all started with Rain in Blood in 1986. This wasn't just an album, it was a declaration of war. From the opening scream of Angel of Death to the final blood-soaked chords of Raining Blood, Slayer unleashed a level of speed and aggression that had never been heard before. But Slayer, like any true force of nature, couldn't be contained. South of Heaven followed in 1988, a darker, more experimental beast. The tempos might have slowed slightly, but the intensity remained, fueled by Tom Araya's demonic growl and Kerry King's relentless riffs. And then in 1990 came Seasons in the Abyss. This album was the culmination of Slayer's evolution, a perfect blend of their signature ferocity and a newfound sense of melody and atmosphere. Tracks like the title track and War Ensemble became instant classics, proving that Slayer could be both brutal and sophisticated. This 3-album run wasn't just about the music, it was about pushing the limits of what was acceptable, of what was possible within the realm of heavy metal. Slayer didn't just make music, they made a statement. They were the soundtrack to our darkest fears, our most primal urges, and we loved them for it. Chapter 3. Hold on to your hats, kids, because at number 3, things are about to get weird, and by weird, I mean mind-blowingly brilliant. It's Tool, the masters of progressive metal, with their sonic odyssey through Enema, Lateralis, and 10,000 Days. Enema dropped in 1996, a dark and twisted masterpiece that announced the arrival of Tool's signature sound polyrhythmic chaos, philosophical lyrics, and Maynard James Keenan's haunting vocals. This wasn't just music, it was an experience, a descent into the depths of human consciousness. But Tool, like any true artistic force, were just getting started. Lateralis arrived in 2001, a sprawling, ambitious work that explored themes of spirituality, mathematics, and the very nature of existence. Tracks like the title track and Parabola became anthems for a generation, seeking something more than just 3-chord rock and roll, and then after a 5-year wait came 10,000 Days. This album was a deeply personal journey for Keenan, dealing with themes of loss, grief, and the search for meaning, but even in its darkest moments, 10,000 Days was filled with moments of breathtaking beauty and musical brilliance. Tool's 3-album run wasn't just about the music, it was about the journey. They challenged us to think, to feel, to question everything we thought we knew about music and ourselves. They were the soundtrack to our existential crises, our spiritual awakenings. and we were forever changed by the experience. Chapter 4. At number 2, it's time to crank up the volume and prepare for a serious sonic beatdown. It's Pantera, the kings of groove metal, with their unholy trinity of Cowboys from Hell, vulgar display of power, and Far Beyond Driven. Cowboys from Hell exploded onto the scene in 1990, a shot of pure adrenaline straight to the heart of the metal scene. This wasn't just music, it was a declaration of independence, a middle finger to the status quo. Dimebag Darrell's riffs were heavier than a ton of bricks. Vinnie Paul's drumming was a force of nature, and Phil Anselmo's vocals were pure, unadulterated aggression. But Pantera were just getting warmed up. Vulgar Display of Power arrived in 1992, a sonic assault that redefined what it meant to be heavy. This album was raw, it was brutal, it was unapologetically in your face. Tracks like Walk and Mouth for War became anthems for a generation fueled by anger and frustration. And then in 1994 came Far Beyond Driven. This album was Pantera at their most extreme, their most uncompromising. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard charts, proving that heavy metal could no longer be ignored. This was music for the masses, but it was still dangerous, it was still subversive. Pantera's 3-album run wasn't just about the music, it was about the attitude. They didn't care what you thought, they were going to do things their way, and they were going to do them loud. They were the soundtrack to our rebellions, our frustrations, our need to break free from the constraints of society. Chapter 5. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. Taking the top spot, the undisputed champions of this metal showdown is none other than Metallica. They unleashed a sonic earthquake that shook the very foundations of heavy metal. Ride the Lightning in 1984 was a quantum leap forward. The riffs were faster, the lyrics were darker, and the songwriting was more complex. Master of Puppets in 1986 cemented their status as the kings of thrash. It was their most experimental work to date. And then in 1988 came And Justice for All. This album dealt with themes of injustice, corruption, and the abuse of power. Metallica's 3-album run wasn't just about the music, it was about the evolution. There you have it, the top 5 3-album runs in metal history as voted by you. Do you agree with the list? Who do you think should have made the cut? Was it Megadeth? Judas Priest? Let us know in the comments below. These 5 bands represent the pinnacle of heavy metal achievement, a testament to the power of raw talent, unwavering vision, and a whole lot of headbanging. They pushed the boundaries of what was possible, inspired millions of fans worldwide, and left an indelible mark on the history of music. Now go crank up some metal and we'll see you in the mosh pit.